Jim Fannin is a best-selling author. He's a coach of champions, but you don't have to be a champion to get his attention because he also takes regular folk like me and tries to bring out the best in everybody. And that's why I'm such a fan of what Jim does.
Real champions.
Real champions.
Yeah.
Real champions are moms, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, everybody on all ranges of the scale. And that's why I like Jim, because you don't discern, you don't turn away business. You basically know that you can find the best in somebody. That's not true. You have turned away business if it doesn't feel like a right fit. But you...
I do. Mm-hmm. I've had a waiting list since 1974. And then much to the chagrin of my team, if I want to coach a jockey that's going to ride in the Derby, and I've never done that, I was like, well, let's move that guy to the top. I've never coached a jockey.
So you want to challenge yourself?
I love the challenge. Mm-hmm. And my clients, they get 24/7 access. And what does that mean? That means I do get the 3 a.m., 4 a.m., client in Tokyo, client in Brussels, client in...
Berwyn.
Client in Berwyn. And so I have a really diverse client list. It goes from high school superstar to... the Mel Gibson types, to the Frank Thomas, to the leadership team from Microsoft. So, I've got a strange and wonderful...
Stable.
...life.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story. It's 3 a.m. and I'm up. Hey, it's Jim. What's up? Hey, I got this challenge. Okay, let's solve it. So I get out of bed and I'm walking around my house. Got 3 floors, so I'm walking around. I go into the walk-in closet, right? And so I woke my wife up, which I didn't mean to do. And she looks into the closet. It's pitch black. I'm in the closet. I'm talking to some dude, she doesn't know. She goes, who are you talking to? I go, Jake from State Farm. And she goes, what? I said, he's wearing khakis. And she goes, you're an asshole. Anyway, and she went back to bed. But that's my life.
But let's rewind the clock to when you were 4, and your grandfather in rural Kentucky, was it?
I was born in Ashland, Kentucky, and within a month we moved into McRoberts Holler, a suburb of Hazard, Kentucky. Yeah. Outhouse,
made it out okay.
Outhouse, no electricity, dirt floor, literally. Awesome grandfather, Cherokee Indian, my papa. So at the age of 4, he showed me that you're never lost. You just haven't found your way. And so to prove that and to show me that I'm never lost, he blindfolds me and leads me a half a mile up in the woods, completely blindfold. Now, he already gave me the protocol of what to do. And he said, listen, Jimmy, count as high as you can. When you can't count any higher, I'm 4. I think I made it to 30 or something. Or when you think I'm gone and I've left, take the blindfold off. You know what to do. So he takes me out in the woods, and I take the blindfold off, and the first thing he said, breathe. Lower your breathing. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he trained me to get my breathing under 10 breaths a minute. Now, everybody in the audience, you're at 15 to 17 breaths, and on the day that the tail's wagging the dog, you're over 20. You hit 30, you're going to be breathing out of a paper bag. That's where panic, fear really kick in. So the first thing I did, I took the blindfold off, I get my breathing down, and then he said, adapt. What does that mean, Papa? He said, just look around, get comfortable. You're not lost. You just haven't found your way. I said, okay. Then what do I do? He said, go to higher ground. I said, what does that mean? He said, climb a rock, go up on a hill, go higher, so now you can look and see where you've been, see where maybe you can find your pathway home. And maybe there's a smoke signal, out of a chimney that's where you need to go. We did this at age 4, 5, 6, 7. At 7, he blindfolded me and took me into caves. And the first time I went in, I knew it was like 20 degrees colder. The second time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going into a cave. I'm like kind of freaked out.
Do they not have DCFS in Kentucky?
They do not. Okay. They do not, thank God. My grandmother would have beat the crap out of my grandfather if something happened to me, so I knew I was in good shape. But when I got into the cave and took off the blindfold, I had to get my eyes adjusted. And then he gave me a pack of matches and a candle. And he said to me, "The wind is your friend." I said, "What do you mean, Papa?" "Light the match, light the candle, and go where the candle blows, because the wind wants to get out too. You're never lost. You just haven't found your way." Now, I did that from age 4 to probably 9 years old. And I will tell you that I'm never lost. I'm never lost with a client. I'm never lost in my life. But sometimes I just haven't found my way. And I think if you embrace that mindset that I got to chill out. I mean, right now, everybody listen, you're at 15 to 17 breaths a minute. And then if you get some bills you don't want, or if reality doesn't meet expectation, you'll hit 20. And that's where you can get into the proverbial bad day. And speaking of bad days, Jen, I have an announcement to make, if I might.
Of course.
I have an announcement. I actually took a note to make 100% sure of the announcement. Yes. Today's the 20th, 2019, yes? Today is 19,582 consecutive positive days.
Nice.
Come on.
That's good.
Now, what does that mean, and why is that? November 8th, 1965, my best friend dies in my arms. And it was a sad day. It was a bad day. Brian Judd. His sister, Diana, changed her name in her 20s to Naomi. That's Naomi Judd of the famous Platinum Judd Singers. The mother of Ashley and Winona Judd. I lived next door when we moved back to Ashland, Kentucky. But on that day, I'm holding Brian in my arms. He died in a hospital in Winston-Salem. He had Hodgkin's. We both were passing a paper route. We both had lymph nodes swollen. My mother's a nurse. I got checked out. Jimmy's okay. His mother checks him out. He has Hodgkin's. I'm like, oh my God. He's the funniest human, brilliant red hair. Funniest guy I ever met. Well, I'm holding him. He died. I felt the energy leave. And then a voice came. And I don't know if it's real or imagined. It seemed real to me. I believe it was real. But the voice was his voice, and it said, "Laugh your ass off every day." That was him. And then he said, "Never have a bad day again." And I pledged that I would never, ever have a bad day for Brian Judd. 19,000, I'm going to 2020, I'll hit it. So when people say, I have a bad day, I'm like, what's up with that? You have bad
you have air
moments.
in your lungs, you have a beat in your heart.
It's
a good start.
We all have moments, but
We all
deal
have
with
stress.
it.
We all have loss. A lot of people have stress because of bills and loss.
And
right?
I think the biggest thing, Jen, is when reality doesn't mesh with your expectation. That's when we have a challenge. Really? Seriously? That happened? And it's easy to have spillage from one part of your life that really flows into the rest of your life. Your relationships, your parenting, your sibling, your brotherhood, your sisterhood. It flows into your personal finances. I see people all the time have a financial setback, and now they're not nice. They're not nice to their people that love them and care about them. So I've coached champions. I do coach champions. That's what I do for a living. But you can be a champion in business, but you're not a very good dad. Well, that's not a true champion, and that's really what tonight is all about. How do I become that true champion not just putting all my happy eggs in one basket. So
It's hitting all the categories.
it's hitting all the categories, being the best, genuine, authentic self you can be in everything that you do.
You talk about being in present time, because anything you have with a regret is back past tense. Worry is future. Present is now. And if you're in the present and not in regret and not in worry, but that takes training. You have to train your mind, and you train people to do that with their mind.
You do. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge in the world today. It's not just the U.S., it's all over the world, is, the average person has 80% of their collective thoughts in the future and the past. Only 20% in the moment. But listen to this. I did a research project in 1974. We studied 250 little kids, 4 to 8 years old. And I'm watching cartoons, and I'm playing with them, and we have 3 PhDs at the Ohio State. They make me say that. I don't know why, but with this, you got to do it. So, yeah, the Ohio State. I didn't go there. But I funded this research on how to facilitate super learning. And what I learned was, from birth to 60 months, from birth to 5, each of you in this audience learn more in that 60 months than you will learn the rest of your life cumulative. Even if you live to 100. It's like, really?
Can you unlearn it? Because that was a really crappy time.
Birth to 5?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, we'll have to talk later. I'll have to send.
This explains a lot. Go
No
on.
way. No, it's okay. Send her a virtual bill in advance. This could take some. We're going to have to go way back. The Wayback Machine.
Okay.
No,
No, it's all good.
Jen, from birth to 5, you got no past. You're 2. You got no future. You got no watch. You got no calendar. You have no sense of time. You're in the moment. And from birth to 5, especially as you get to 4 and 5, you only have about 1,000, 1,200 thoughts a day. And you ask a lot of questions. Why? Why? Why are you fat? Why is your teeth crooked? And you're like, okay, Jimmy, And but super learning occurs when you're in the moment, locked in. Now, unfortunately, when you go to school, age 6, that's flipped. I told you not to do that. Here comes the past. Oh, you'll never be like your brother. He's blah, blah, blah. Here comes your future. So when we go to school, and especially when there's 20 kids to every teacher, that is flipped around to where now you have 80% of your thoughts future past, like an adult, and only 20% in the moment. We need to be a kid again. We need to get back into the moment. But Jen, you can't do that without a blueprint.
Right.
That's the key. If you have a blueprint, nothing great happens with a blueprint. The Willis Tower, there was a blueprint. The city of Chicago, after the Great Fire, there was a blueprint. And they brought in the great architects from around the world to rebuild our city. But a life needs a blueprint.
But it also requires flexibility, and that's what I like about your system, is because with most athletes, they're in the moment, and while they have a blueprint, stuff happens in the moment. And you're talking about turning left instead of right, being flexible and being intuitive and following that inner GPS so that you can still follow the big picture blueprint, but you can be in the moment and just take a quick turn, right?
Well, the moment, that's where the zone resides. That's all I've dedicated my whole life to one thing. What is the zone? How do I get into it? Michael Jordan, I watched him drop 42 on the opposition. I'm in the locker room after the game. I go, man, that was awesome. And of course, he wanted to talk about his favorite subject, golf. He just dropped 42 on the other team. He wanted to talk about golf. I want to talk about the zone. I said, well, let's talk about the zone. He goes, I know the zone. I can put it on like an overcoat. And the best in the world have trained themselves to find that purposeful, calm feeling where nothing can go wrong. And it's not just for the superstar, but that zone is a very special place. And I want to get into depth on that, if I might.
Yes, please.
If I'm in the zone, there's a lot of attributes that are going to happen in 1/100th of a second. As soon as it's triggered, it's usually triggered by a car accident. or trauma or a cut or a wound. It's not designed to make money in banking or be a radio jock. That's not what the zone's designed for. It's an airbag to keep you out of trouble, out of harm's way, almost like a mental airbag for some trauma. But here's what happens. As soon as the zone arrives, my eyes double, they might even triple shutter speed. That slows everything down. I can now look for an avenue of escape, or I could flip it around and fight my way out of a situation. But I can also see plays on a field. I can look around corners with amazing intuition. But when the eyes double, triple shutter speed, everything slows. Your breathing drops from 15, 17 breaths down to 6 to 8. You're taking in more oxygen. You're getting rid of carbon dioxide. Simultaneously, your stomach, which right now contains most of the blood in everybody's body, a cut to the stomach is a very serious wound. A lot of blood there. But when you get into a zone state, the blood vessels constrict, the capillaries constrict. People call that the butterflies. You don't have the butterflies. You're not nervous unless you believe you're nervous, and then you might be. It's the body preparing for peak performance. Then the blood is diverted away from the stomach into the brain for clarity, and then the rest of the blood goes to the large muscles for inordinate quickness, speed, agility, and strength. And then another phenomenon. You have an energy field that instantly expands thousands of yards, 360, picking up data. Yeah, I got eyes in the back of my head.
Right. You're like
I see it. I feel it. And then there are some really interesting attributes. Intuition starts driving you. Your conscious mind that can rationalize, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. What do I do? How do I get out of this situation? No, there's no rationale. The conscious mind shuts down. The subconscious mind takes over. Intuition, which has the capability of looking around corners, takes over. You could be a remote viewer, which I can do, and that's where you can see geographically what's going on and pick up impressions. I'm in Chicago, someone's in New York, and I can see what's on their desk. So that does give me a coaching advantage. There's also telekinesis or psychokinesis, same thing, where you get into a certain state, objects can move. Now, I'm not going to do parlor tricks and move stuff, but things can move, and things have moved with me in my career where I'm just looking at it, and it just moves, and it's like, wow, that was pretty cool. But, you know, it's a zone state where there are a lot of sixth sense attributes. There's telekinesis. I've done this with great quarterbacks. Scott Mitchell, who was a lefty quarterback for the Lions, he would turn to his right and look at Herman Moore, and Herman Moore knew telepathically to just take off right down the middle as fast as possible, and Scott was going to hurl a 60-yard pass. They were going for it. Not one word said. It was just a... And Herman's Moore, his number wasn't called. Someone else was called. Gail Sayers, who has a few challenges now, but Gail's been a friend of mine for a long time, and I had lunch with him once. I go, why are you great, man? Why are you so good? And, Hall of Famer, scored 6 touchdowns in one game. Why are you great? And he goes, well, every play that we designed for that defense is ready for a touchdown. If my line, my backs do their job against that defense, we'll score a touchdown. But intuitively, I know that the defense may shift or my guys may screw up. So he had this uncanny sixth sense when he got in the zone to see what was going to happen. And at that point, he would change. And that's what he was known for, of making these last-minute runs when there was nothing there. But he had that sixth sense. And the great ones have that sixth sense.
Great leaders, was it Norman Vincent Peale had the power of positive thinking? Conrad Hilton called it the Hilty hunch. These very successful people talk about exactly what you're talking about. I say intuition, but people now, I think, kind of give that a bad rap in a way, like it's woo-woo, but it's really not. It's part of a
How many
toolbox.
golfers we got in the audience? Got any crazy?
Yeah.
I'll pray for you. Golfers, you all are nuts.
Pray
You're
for you,
nuts.
golfers.
Playing in the rain, the snow. I love it. Exactly. I'm a golfer. So here's the deal. You're sitting there with a 7-iron. The caddy, who's the best caddy in the club, looks and goes, hey, it's a 7. Then a little voice goes, 6-iron. You're holding a 7-iron. What do? You better hit the 6-iron. Intuition is real-time information that conscious minds don't possess. Now, I was skeptical 30, 40 years ago with a lot of stuff, although I learned these sixth sense from my grandfather and my mother. But here's what happened. I find myself in Kiev. I'm in Ukraine, and I lived there for 9 months. And I'm there with the Patton Institute. This is right after Russia broke away, the Ukraine broke away from Russia, the Gorbachev area. And I saw a documentary in this movie theater about Gorbachev not long ago. So I'm in Kiev with the Patton Institute, and they go, you want to be a part of Intuition with Twins? I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. So here's the project. They take 12-year-old twins, they separate them by a 2-hour time differential. They give each twin 24 sets of clothing, numbered 1 through 24. Can't mix and match. Outfit number 6, outfit number 8. Each have the same identical outfits, 1 through 24. You already know where this is going. They're separated. 2-hour time zone. This is on video. I'm part of it. I met the twins, lots of twins in this study. So the first twin, who obviously gets up earlier, she's 2 hours ahead, she gets up, puts on outfit number 6, she heads out the door. Her twin, 2-hour time differential geographically away, she gets up later, puts on outfit number 2, walks out the door, stops, turns around, takes off her clothes, puts on outfit number 6. Day 1, they dress alike. Day 2, they dress alike. Day 3, they dress alike. I'm like, whoa, what's up with that? Day 4, they dress alike. I'm like, seriously? The skeptic in me is like, this is pretty awesome. I can't believe it. 24 days in a row, they're dressed alike. Then they flipped them. The little girl that got up first now is moved geographically. She's getting up last. The other girl, they give them new clothing. I don't know why they only gave them 14 sets of clothes, kind of scrimped on the clothing. But they dressed alike 14 days in a row when they flipped them. Now, these are identical twins. They're communicating telepathically. And every person in this audience can do this. You've done it. I can't believe I was just thinking about her as she just called. Mm-hmm. Or leave tonight. Go think about a best friend that you haven't talked to in 2 months and send them a telepathic, hey, what's up? What's up?
You get a text in return.
Yeah,
hey.
And they call you back. It happens every day around the world to billions of people. But most of us dismiss it, we poo-poo it, that's coincidence. It's not. Subconscious minds communicate with subconscious minds. This has happened to me my whole career. Somebody said to me, I'm in Toronto. Somebody said to me, hey, you're coaching Alex Rodriguez for the Mariners, you're coaching Joey Cora. Man, you need to coach Randy Johnson, the big unit. What a nickname, the big unit. Anyway.
You had a fast pitch.
Anyway, yes, the big unit. Whatever, I don't give nicknames. But anyway, so I'm like, yeah, maybe I coach Randy Johnson, who's not the most affable guy.
Big mullet is what we called him, yeah.
Yeah, he's not Mr. Happy, right? So anyway, I shut my eyes and I visualized me standing by the mound coaching the big unit. Okay, well, I'm there with the team, so there is a coincidence I could see him in the hotel. I get on the elevator, I'm starting to go down, and I'm like, oh man, I need a sweater. So I go back up to my room, I get down to the main floor, I go back to my room, I put on a sweater, I get down, it stops at floor number 6. You know what happened. Hey Randy, how you doing? There's the big unit. I'm like, awesome. And I go, so how are you playing? He looked at me, I think he's going to assault me, right? He's not an affable guy. And I go, I need to help you get in the zone. I coach A-Rod and the rest of your team. Really? What's your name? I tell him my name. I give him my card. I go, you want to get in the zone? Let's do this thing. Let's lock in. That was it. I go on my way. The next day, his agent calls, and I coach Randy Johnson to a Cy Young Award. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Right. Can you tell the Frank Thomas story as well? Because Frank had a very clear vision of what he wanted.
Oh, my God.
And this is a great example of manifesting what you completely visualized.
That was a crazy day. It's April. It's just after spring training. I'm in Old Comiskey Park, and Frank wants to meet with me. The trainer kind of introduced us, and he knew I was coaching Black Jack McDowell and some other guys on the team. And so I'm sitting there in the dugout with Frank, and I go, so what's up, man? What do you want? Why am I here? That's probably the first thing I will say if I'm coaching somebody. What do you want? Why am I here? What's the point? He looked me dead in the eye, and he goes, Hall of Fame. I'm like, dang.
Man with a plan.
Man, that's... this guy's a rookie. He got some guts, and he's got legs that look like sequoias. I mean, this guy's huge. And I go, it's going to cost you. He said, what do you charge? I said, no, man, my fee, it's chump change. You'll be paying me out of your front pocket. No, you're going to have to sacrifice. If you have abnormal dreams, Hall of Fame, you got to think in an abnormal way. You can't think like everybody else. He said, what does that mean? I said, you're going to miss your daughter's birthday party. He said, man, I ain't got no kids. I said, well, you may have 18 kids time you get to the Hall of Fame, like Sean Kemp. He had 18 kids and 6 baby mamas.
Women, yeah.
I'm like, and I wonder why he played till he's like 38. But anyway, that's another subject. So anyway, I said, you're going to miss your anniversary with your wife. He said, I don't even have a girlfriend. I said, Frank, you may have 2 wives by the time you get to the Hall of Fame. You have to sacrifice thoughts. Shut your eyes, Frank. Have you been to Cooperstown ever? I have. Shut your eyes. Get behind a podium. Look out into a sea of people that love you. They love you. They've been with you through thick and thin. They love you. They're there to celebrate your induction into the hall. So he shuts his eyes. I had him unhinge his jaw. I get him his breathing down to 6 to 8 breaths. And while he's doing that, I shut my eyes. I unhinged my jaw. And I saw me in the front row. And I got a big-ass grin on my face as Frank is inducted into the Hall of Fame. Fast forward 20 years. I'm in the front row. Frank's up on the podium, and he looks me in the eye, and he goes, I'd never made it without the zone coach. And I started bawling like a baby. I started crying. My mother cried when she was happy and sad, so I'm a little bit like my mom. But it was emotional because he and I were the only ones that knew what we had been through 20 years, Hall of Fame.
And so that's amazing, everybody.
Yeah.
So that manifests. You talk about visualizing what you want. I know a lot of people that do.
Oh, I got
vision
another
boards.
one.
Go ahead.
I got another one. I'm 11.
Okay.
I'm 11 years old. For a whole year, I was 11. And it was a great year. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any responsibilities. It was awesome. I just was going to play tennis. And I'm reading a tennis magazine. And I'm reading about 2 Italian boys my age that were doing a diary as junior tennis players traveling the European circuit. And I'm reading World Tennis Magazine going, this is awesome. They're my age, and they're playing tennis all over the world. My mentor at that time was an 83-year-old African-American named Professor R.W. Ross. I love you, Professor. And he was my mentor until he passed away, 100. And finally inducted into the Kentucky Hall of Fame. But Professor, he was a retired philosophy professor. His grandfather was a slave, and he was one of the wisest men I'd ever met. He looks over my shoulder and he goes, "Do you see those boys?" I said, "Yeah, yes, sir." He said, "Shut your eyes. Can you still see them?" I said, "I can." He said, "Won't you tap a few balls with them?" "What do you mean?" In your mind, but you got to hear the ball. I said, all right. I gave it a go. So I'm hitting tennis balls in my mind, imagining. And he said, "Why don't you travel the world with them?" I said, "Professor, I've never been on an airplane." He said, "Jimmy, don't you think it's time you got on an airplane?" I said, "Okay, what do I do?" He goes, "Shut your eyes. Can you see a plane?" I said, "Yeah." "Do you see the stairs?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Walk up them, and you're going to sit in first class." I don't know what that is, right? So I go, okay. 14 years later, now I'm not going to tell you I thought about those Italian boys every night, but I thought about them quite a bit. Quite a bit. That thought of playing tennis with these guys, traveling the world with them, that tucked me in bed at night. That woke me up many, many mornings. 14 years later, I coached Adriano Panada, who was in that magazine article, Paolo Bertolucci, the other guy in that magazine article. I coached both of them to the World Davis Cup finals against my own United States. Dreams come true.
Nice. So I want to ask you, what portion of that was possibly you intuitively catching a glimpse of what was going to be your future, and what was you manifesting that by happening through your thoughts? Do you believe in a combo of the two, that there's destiny and that there's also manifested life events that happen because of what you do and your focus and your actions?
I definitely have beliefs on that. I believe I manifested that with a lot of repetition. Destiny, possibly. I knew that there was something for me. We were so poor. Oh my God, we ate roadkill and went, "This is great. This is awesome.
Squirrel again.
Well done, Mom. Well done." Track marks on a possum. You know, grill marks? No, we had track marks. So we had a dirt floor. I said, "Mommy, we poor? You hungry?" "No, ma'am." "Then you ain't poor, are you?" I go, "Yeah, but I don't have a floor." And she said, "What? You got the greatest bedroom of any kid in Kentucky." I go, "How's that possible? I don't have a floor. I'm sleeping in a mattress on a dirt floor." She goes, "Get in here. You know the Etch-a-Sketch game you want?" "Yeah." "You got the world's largest Etch-a-Sketch game." Mom gets down on her hands and knees. We're playing tic-tac-toe, and I'm like, "I got the greatest friggin' room on the planet. This is awesome. This is awesome." Anyway, I digress. You know, I never knew I was poor. But, I think there was a little destiny. I only wished for one thing from a little kid, and I think my grandfather had a lot to do with it. I always wanted wisdom, and I've always searched for wisdom. I found out that wisdom is, it is experience, it is knowledge, but it's communicated with common sense. And that to me is wisdom. And I've dedicated my life to just getting more experiences, gaining more knowledge, and hopefully making it simple with common sense.
You talk about tennis, and I think there's an energetic game that happens with tennis, with people, with fighting. So like if you're just sitting in neutral and you think a thought about somebody and it's a negative thought and it comes out of nowhere, my belief is that they're thinking something negative about you and you catch it. What do you think? Because if you're not, you know,
I think you're going to lose a lot.
No, but what I'm saying is that like if somebody you haven't thought about in a long time and all of a sudden you think, well, gosh, what's that about? Then you can think something back negative, and you're playing the energetic game of tennis. You're going. I mean, what puts out negativity is love, and you've talked about this, and you've successfully coached people.
Listen,
thinking love from your heart.
Come on,
everything.
love conquers all.
Exactly. Tell the story about Jerry Only, and we talked about this on the air as well. This amazing rock star, the lead singer of the Misfits. He's going into court, and you were coaching him on how to successfully battle something where he was having a real turmoil with an ex and was worried about his appearance, and you gave him amazing advice. What happened?
Well, he had an ex that was vindictive and wanted to flip the script on him, and it was a pretty, it was a tough situation for him and his daughter, definitely their daughter. But I wanted him to see things differently, look at his wife with no animosity, no hatred. Just love the mother that she is of your kid. You don't have to like her, but love her as the mother that she is. And then you need to see what you want, and most of us see what we don't want. I don't want those bills, or, you know, I have a shoulder surgery, and I don't want this pain. You know, most of us go through life seeing what we don't want, especially when we go to sleep, as opposed to what you do want. And so Jerry started flipping the script on how he thought about it. He went into court totally different, with no anxiety and less worry. If you worry, raise your hand, by the way. Everybody worry?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Worry is when you... I can't believe she said... Why would she say that? It's ridiculous. Then I put it down and I come back, oh man, this is ridiculous.
Every thought has a reaction, physically and emotionally.
Every thought has a reaction. So I have a negative thought and I replay it once, twice, 3, 4, and then I take my imagination, sprinkle it on it, and project it into the future. Then you have fear and anxiety. The best in the world don't worry. I've coached many number 1 world champions, Olympic gold medalists, decathlon, number 1 in golf, top in tennis. Companies.
They don't worry about not winning? They don't worry about not being enough? They don't worry about doing well enough?
I don't remember worrying. I don't worry. That's why I hope I don't look 70 this year. I don't worry. I don't care what happened 5 minutes ago. Next. By the way, that is on my tombstone in a will. Next. Next. You got to keep going next. So, you got to do your best. Learn from the past. Extract the lessons that you need, and then only go into the future for planning, strategy, and tactics. Otherwise, spend your time looking people in the eye in the moment. And I've lived almost 20,000 days doing that.
And you coached Jerry to go in to divorce court, which is so hard to do with a positive mindset, to radiate from his heart. But when he got in there and he radiated from his heart,
he saw the end game.
Yeah,
you know, it's like me coming here. What do I want everyone here to think and do when you go away at home at night? Whatever I would like for you to think, that should be my agenda. Go into every meeting like that. Go into every day like that. Go into every week like that. What do I want? We don't always get what we want, but at least we can adjust from something that you do want. It's easier to adjust to.
And sometimes
and by the way, his court case turned out awesome.
Exactly.
Exactly the way he manifested.
Yeah. He manifested that by being a high vibration individual radiating from his heart. But what happens, Jim, and I wonder if you find this, I'm sure you do, and people in the audience, I bet you do as well. When you raise your vibration, the people that are used to being negative around you don't like it so much. Well, let's handle his high vibration.
Let's take a deep dive on that. The brain vibrates 24/7. Okay, it's not any affliction. You don't feel the vibration, but there is a higher pitch. When you're in a zone state, it's at a very high pitch. It attracts very positive things your way. If you're angry, and of course anger is never the first emotion, you're frustrated and embarrassed or jealous, then you get angry. But once you hit an angry state, it's a very low pitch. You will attract like-minded low-pitch people. And if you're in a positive zone state, you're going to attract positive people. I suppose, how many married couples are in the audience? You remember when you met? Remember when you met? Remember the day? Yeah? When she looked at you and you looked at him, went, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm picking up the vibe. I'm feeling the vibe.
Both in the high zone.
Remember that? And then you don't see her for a day, but you're thinking about her. Oh, baby, I see you. I love, oh, wow. You are smart. And she sees you, and then one of you, I don't know which one's first, man, I think I could live with this guy. Oh, my goodness, I could marry this guy. One of you does that first. It's never simultaneous. And then all of a sudden you do. And you had shared vision. Shared vision because of the high vibration. 1 + 1 = 3. You and me, baby, equal more than a part. Or what's the point? There's no point. 1 + 1 = 3. It's the only formula for a relationship or more. And then after 7 years, what?
And you are?
And what? All of a sudden you don't have shared vision. I'm doing my thing, Jen's doing, we've been secretly married for 7 years, but we drove in separate cars today.
We're good at keeping it secret.
Yes, we are. But, you know, you wake up and all of a sudden you don't have shared vision. And one usually awakes before the other one. You know, we're all awake.
But
we're not all aware. Of course you can circle back.
Talk to me about this, the 90-second rule for those in the audience who don't know it. How can they embrace it?
There's many different 90-second rule, but this one's a relationship one. This is a game changer. If you've been away from somebody you love at least 2 hours, the first 90 seconds that you see them has more impact on your relationship than spending hours and hours with them later. Put down your cell phone. Close the door on your business arena, your golf arena. Close the door. And be ready to receive the energy of the people on the other side of the door. And if you have little kids, hold them up. Hold on, let me hug mommy, let me hug daddy. Now you're training your young children how to treat their significant other, hopefully 20 years later. But you're also showing respect to mom or dad. Then you look at your significant other. You look her in the eye long enough to discern eye color. And then you do a technique inside this 90 seconds called mirroring. So if Jen's my wife and I look at her face, I can read her body language, she's not happy. I go, what's wrong, baby? You okay? I want to go to her level, not to stay there. I want to go there to get her so I can help her come up to a more positive level. But if she's happy, I'm like, what's up? What's going on? I want to mirror that so that I can connect. You do that the next time you've been away for 2 hours, and you look your significant other in the eye long enough to discern eye color, she'll be like, are you all right? What's wrong? What do I not know? No, it's a habit. And all my clients use the 90-second rule. But you can also use it going to work. Close your private arena. Close it. Go to work. Take 90 seconds to get in mode, get in state, get into a zone state. And if you get to work, walk the garden. Walk around. Look everybody in the eye. How you doing? Connect. We're a society right now, in our homes, in our offices, we don't look each other in the eye. We don't have empathy and connect. But deep down, we do have that empathy. But for whatever reasons, our society is too busy for some real simple basics and common sense. Don't violate the 90-second rule. I have one client who used to be Oprah's videographer and photographer, Bob Davis. He has the 90-second rule on his door so that no one goes in without violating the 90-second rule.
So do you remember when we shot the video for your 90-second
She's
rule?
in my 90-second rule video. Oh, my God.
Years ago.
Let me tell you, this is a trip. That we had no script, none. Everybody's winging it. And so Jen is paired up with my insurance salesman. So she's paired up with him, and she has a real child, your son. And
At the time I had a real husband.
yeah. So yeah, did you have a real husband?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you did.
I did,
Where in the hell was he? But anyway, that's another subject. So lay down,
Wasn't a
Jen.
good
We'll talk
actor.
about it anyway. So. Yeah, so Jen is sitting there with her arms crossed while the husband goes in and plays with the kid and blows Jen off, and Jen goes, "What about me?" So go. It's on YouTube. Go to YouTube, put in Jim Fannin 90-second rule. There's Jen. She shows how to do it right and do it.
But it was
wrong.
Interesting because Bob, as you mentioned, who was there, you had worked
How'd your
with him.
ex do? Did he do good on the 90-second rule?
We're divorced.
Oh, you're divorced, huh? How'd that work out? Obviously, he never saw the video, but anyway, it's all right. It's okay.
I think the issues were deeper than the video.
Yeah,
but
deeper than the
anyway,
90 seconds.
The good news is that we're still friends.
You needed the 7-year rule, not the 90-second rule. But anyway.
But you shared with me after we shot that video that somebody in your life, we talk about people in your life and the negative people and friends that don't mirror the kind of character that you emulate and that you speak about, and that somebody who's a good friend of yours, you actually had to let go as a friend because they were
Negative.
yeah, and smarmy and all sorts of other things that were not matching your vibration, and it's hard to pull that Band-Aid off sometimes, especially if they've been in your life for decades.
I just think we need to be truthful. Look, I love you, but I don't like you right now. So, I mean, the bottom
You need to
line.
take a break. If they're not bringing out the best in you.
Look, a few people in the room have been to my home, but if you come into my home, it's full of love and fresh cut flowers and music. And just when I was poor, we had love and fresh cut flowers, although my mother picked them on the side of the road. And we always had music. She was always singing. And you can fill your house with love. Love does conquer all. So, yeah.
What happens if you have people in your family? We've talked about this on the show.
They're not allowed to come to my house.
Okay. No, people who suck
If
the
they're
life out of
negative,
you.
if you're negative,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
look, in my house, we're not talking politics or religion. So if there's nothing else to talk about, you ought to stay home.
Right.
So, and no is the new yes.
Right. No is a complete sentence.
Can we come over? No. So, no's the new yes. Do you want to go see Cars 2? No, I do not. Anyway, so.
But that's putting on your oxygen mask, and that's good because there are a lot of people I know that have extreme guilt. I mean, I have very challenging situations with my own mother, the woman who gave me life, but I can't be around her. She's negative, and so
hold up. But see, there comes a point in your life, I'm going to defend your mom very briefly.
You haven't met her.
I said very briefly, exactly. There comes a point in your life when you realize you have more past than possible future. That's usually the midlife holy crap crisis, right? It's like, I'm 50,
I'm on the back now.
I have more past unless I live to 100. What's up with that? But, so your mom may be going through that, but I coached someone this morning. He now is coaching his mom and dad. And he's upset about it. I go, why are you upset? It's just the nature of life. I think whatever your mom has, it's your responsibility to have extreme positivity. And everybody in this room, we have somewhere between 1 and 50 key people in our lives. Not necessarily good friends and not necessarily family. Could be a boss, could be a coworker, could be a direct report in a business. But everybody has somebody you'd like to eliminate, Not physically eliminate, But
I got a guy.
I just saw a documentary on that. It's kind of creepy. So, you know, a great coach sees a superstar when everybody else says, this person shouldn't play. He's no good. A great teacher sees an A student when the kid's failing, when the parents are going, he's a slacker, he never tries, he never does his homework. You've got somebody in your life right now, somebody that you work with, somebody in your immediate family that you're having a challenge with. You've got to flip the script and see them positive. Listen to this. Every thought you have can be measured on a machine in the hospital called an encephalograph. Zzz, every brainwave. Zzz, zzz. You died. That's not good. You know, flatline. Every thought is kinetic energy. Every thought is an action. Class, for every action there's a reaction. We're on film. Seriously? Class, for every action there's a
reaction.
So in any event, every thought has 3 simultaneous reactions. First reaction is physical. Wow, Jim looks sad. He's looking up to the left. His memory's over there. He's thinking about something sad. He's chewing on that piece of skin on the inside of his lip. I'm having a physical reaction to a sad thought. Every thought has a second reaction. Through the synapse in my nervous system, that thought triggers natural chemicals in my body to change my serotonin level, and now I feel sad. Now, you have to be in the room with me to read my body language. 80% of what I say is nonverbal. You have to be in a room with me, and it's hard to mask the physical reaction from a thought, but it's possible. You can put on a poker face. Every thought has a physical reaction.
And you coach poker players to do the poker face.
I do. I coach Phil Gordon. I coach a lot of champions. Don't play them. They have fake tells, which is terrifying. But every thought also has an emotional reaction. So if I have a happy thought, dopamine is flooded into my bloodstream with a dash of adrenaline, and I feel good. I feel happy. I have to be very skilled to mask the emotional reaction. My daughter can do this. She's a trauma nurse at a very tough trauma hospital in Ohio. She can mask the emotional reaction to a thought. But there's a third reaction that you can't mask. That's an intuitive vibe. So whatever I'm thinking is being broadcast. That's the good news. What's the bad news? Everything I'm thinking is being broadcast. And so if I saw the printout of every person in this audience, of every thought you had today, a few would be arrested. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. But would you want people to see the printout of your thoughts? Because it's going to reveal who you are, where you're going, how quickly you're going to get there or not. You need to think about what you think about. You need to be aware and take mental inventory. And if you're having a negative thought, do this. Everybody put both feet on the floor. Shut your eyes. Unhinge your jaw. Put your chin up. Lower your breathing. Jaw is totally unhinged. Let your tongue float in your mouth and see a blank screen. Just turn your brain off. Now raise your chin well above parallel and open your eyes. Now that tool is called the Reboot. It's pretty simple. You recalibrate the brain. You turn it off. You clear it.
And why does looking up help so much?
If I look up to the right, body language-wise, I'm going to create something. If I look up to the left, I'm thinking of something positive, but from my past. Everybody shut your eyes again. Have a negative thought this time and drop your head to your chest. Hold a negative thought. I don't want to know what it is. Have a negative thought. Raise your head up to the ceiling with the negative thought. Hold the negative thought, eyes shut, put your head back down to your chest. Put your head back up to the ceiling. Hold the negative thought. Drop your head one more time, negative thought. Now put your head back up. Now everybody look forward. This is called the light switch. Mama's right. Keep your chin up. 75% report the following. When your head went up, you had to reconstruct it. You had to get it back into your head.
You had to recreate the negative thought.
You had to recreate it. But when you dropped your head, it was robust, clear, and concise. If you experienced that, raise your hand. Yeah, Mama's right. So if anything negative happens, you can either reboot or raise your head to it, and you won't replay the past.
Very nice. Now, before bed, this is really important, and you're a big advocate of 30 minutes before going to sleep, consciously thinking of positive things because of the replay that happens when you go to sleep. Talk about that.
I think this is the greatest discovery in my lifetime. I think it should be on the cover of the Tribune tomorrow. I do. I think it should be on every radio show. I think if people can do this, I think we would have world peace. I think you'd have blessed lives. I think you would have simplicity. I think you'd have balance. And I know you would have abundance. Now, I believe what I'm going to tell you for 45 years. Quantifiably, what I'm going to tell you was proven about 4.5 years ago by some researchers in Massachusetts. So here it is. It's two-part. Every thought that you have, by the time you wake up and you think, I got to go to the bathroom, or I'm hungry, or oh my gosh, I'm late. Every thought, every sensation, every feeling that you have, your subconscious records it. And it places it in the left part of your brain in a retention area for easy access. Like, where's my car keys? Oh, I look up to the left, I can find my car keys. When you go to sleep at night in a deep REM state, there's a data download. So every thought that you had, every feeling, every sensation, this is cold, this is hot, this is heavy, is recorded. And when you go to sleep tonight, it's replayed one time, occasionally twice. But here's the kicker. In the last 30 minutes before sleep, especially as you get closer to a deep REM state, rapid eye movement, every thought you have is also recorded, but it's replayed 15 to 20 times per thought. So I've taken the worst putter on the PGA Tour, last in that statistic, and in 90 days made him the number one putter on the tour. He would go to sleep, get relaxed, or get in bed, and before he went to sleep, he would hit putts, even hear the ball going into the cup. He would feel it. He would make it like a movie. Every time he had a putt in the last 30 minutes, now he's putting 15 to 20 times. 10 putts before sleep? Well, 10 times 15 to 20. I do 50 putts? Well, you get the point. But you also get the point of why you don't have a good night's sleep. You got to quit watching the news, for goodness sakes. You know, what's up with that? You got to start thinking about what you want. And, you know, I researched 22 religions. I know don't talk about religions, but I did. I spent an inordinate amount of time, and so many religions base their prayer on what you think at night. Now I lay me down to sleep, a great, obviously, song and poem and verse that people say all the time. Think about what you want when you go to sleep. When you wake up tomorrow morning, don't get out of bed and go to the bathroom. Think about what you want. The best in the world have a vision that they go with and think about and see it in finished, manifested state. Now, that's one night. That ain't going to get it. I've had guy goes, I thought about it a lot, but I still suck at my putting. What's up? I go, well, it takes repetition. How long does it take? 7 to 10 days. That's it.
And
But
once you get to 22, it's really ingrained, and then when it's 40, it's like completely wired, right?
If you do this 7 to 10 nights and mornings in a row, and I'm only talking about a few seconds, you go to sleep seeing what you want, you wake up seeing what you want, and then you go about your day, 7 to 10 days in a row, it freaks out your subconscious. It puts serious stress on it. And your subconscious then does everything in its power to manifest it in its physical equivalent. But here's the warning. This works two ways. This knife cuts both ways. You go to bed a victim, your subconscious will keep you a victim. Now let's go back to Kentucky. We're poor. That's a poor state. And there's a couple of ways to get out of Kentucky. A lot of people don't know this. The 3 R's, reading, writing, Route 23, go north and get a good job. That was ingrained as a little kid. Reading, writing, and go to Detroit to get a job. But poverty is a state of mind. I have relatives that won the lottery, and they threw it away in months. It's a state of mind. Wealth is a state of mind. Happiness, success. There's no rules here. In fact, I believe there's only one rule in life in terms of success. There are no rules to be successful. But you better think about what you want as opposed to what you don't want.
So as everybody leaves here tonight and they're going to put their subconscious to work, right? They know the light switch, they know how to unhinge and reboot. What else do we want to leave them with before we start taking some questions from the audience?
Hellos?
The anatomy of divorce.
Wow, you're coming up with the anatomy of divorce. We don't
need to go there.
Well, here,
It's all good.
Well, let's think about it. I think that's a great question. I do a piece on the anatomy. Anybody would like to get a divorce? I have
I think there's more married people here than not.
Here's how you get one if you want one. You go to sleep at night, and I'm thinking about somebody that's not her. And you could drive a Volkswagen down the middle of the bed. She's thinking about what a jerk I am and what an idiot I am. And that's how we go to sleep. Now, that's replayed 15 to 20 times. I'm seeing me not with her. She's seeing me not with me. And that will manifest into its physical equivalent. You know, the person that you sleep with, that's a big deal because you're sharing that last 30 minutes. So how do you go to sleep? As one. And you can touch toes and you can say positive things. I love you more than the stars in the sky, whatever. You never go to sleep negative. You never go to sleep mad. And that's why there's brain science behind that. And if you violate it, well, that's the anatomy of divorce. Golfers, relationships, parenting, making money, business, wellness. If you get into a zone state, I just want to say wellness real quickly. I had complete shoulder surgery, total shoulder replacement, and the doctor goes, well, you're going to have to be in the hospital a couple of days. I go, Jimmy's going home. I'm going home. I'm going home. I have a protocol on super healing. Every client in sports that I coach gets back on the field 50% quicker than their trainers and doctors say they can do. This system has helped 80, 90 people put cancer in remission. I'm one of them. I've used the same techniques to do that for myself in 30 days. So there's so many things the zone can do to help you, and there is a formula on how to attract it. It's 5 markers, and then I'm going to field questions. Self-discipline, you got to have a plan, and you have to have well-defined goals. Self-discipline is the only form of discipline. Second is concentration. Focus on what you want, and focus less on things, not 20 balls in a row. trying to be all things to all people. The third marker, and by the way, self-discipline triggers cortisol, a stress chemical. Concentration triggers glycogen, that narrows my focus. Optimism is right at the heart of these 5 markers, and that triggers endorphins, where I have a feeling that nothing can go wrong, and that's my belief system and my expectancy and my sense of knowing. But you need equal of the other 2 markers. You need relaxation. We're a nation that's stressed to the max. Oh, I want to give you another tip. Don't do it now, but set your phone, when you wake up, set it every 2 hours, the alarm to go off. And when it does, breathe. Just every time the alarm goes off, unhinge your jaw, get your breathing down to 6 to 8 breaths, and see if you can find the calm. That adds serotonin into the bloodstream. And then the last marker is enjoyment. I mean, if it's not fun, why are you doing it?
And that's the acronym SCORE, by the way, that he
just spelled out. It's an acronym, and that makes up the SCORE system. So everybody here, I don't look at you normally. I look at SCORE levels, and you can read SCORE levels, and once I read it, I know what to say and what not to say. So sometimes I don't need to say anything.
Jim Fannin, thank you for your wisdom. Everybody, thank you for coming out on a school night. Jim Fannin, everybody.
Go to jimfannin.com.
Jimfannin.com.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much, everybody. Please.
Thanks, everybody.